Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Sir Cypher here. It's been a while since I made a video, but I wanted to talk about Ultimate General Civil War. It's a Civil War game where there's a grand campaign. You lead your army through all the battles. They gain experience. You buy weapons, equipment. It's part of the Ultimate General series. I've tried the other ones. I think this is the best one, despite its age. At least the best one that I've tried so far. But it is famously sort of difficult to get into. There's a lot of hidden mechanics. A lot of things aren't explained to you, and the scaling system is very punishing. So I'm just going to go and do the first battle, talk about the mechanics, explain some things, and then maybe I'll do a later battle as well in a different video. So let's start. I'm going to okay, yes, Lincoln. I'm going to be I'm going to do the Union campaign because I find the Union campaign a little more interesting. You're on the offensive more often. You start off with less resources and your troops are worse, but you rapidly scale up, and so the challenge is taking all this money, taking all of these resources and guns and stuff and forming a kind of army from scratch very quickly and scaling it up, and also winning on offensives against the Confederacy. So the Confederacy starts off with better troops. They have advantages in some respects, but as the war goes on, as the Union, assuming you're doing well, those advantages will start to tip in your favor. Now, you have to pick your character's specialties. Now, most of them are just different ways of essentially either saving troops or saving money, mostly saving money, except for reconnaissance and army organization. Reconnaissance tells you stuff about the missions. I think it's fairly useless. You don't want to get reconnaissance. Army organization allows you to have larger armies, so it allows you to increase the size of your brigades. It allows you I use brigade and regiment interchangeably, but it allows you to increase the size of your units and also create bigger formations, like corps and divisions. So we're going to avoid reconnaissance. We're going to go with army organization and logistics, which gives you ammunition. These kind of become less important as the game goes on. Again, we don't want reconnaissance, so we'll get artillery. Medicine makes it so more of your troops will be healed at the end of each battle that have been casualties. They'll return to your forces. And then let's get politics. Economy makes things cheaper. Politics is probably better early on, because we need more recruits. And then we're going to go with the Union. Now, there's a couple different options for difficulty. I suggest just playing on Brigadier General. I think it's enough of a challenge along with the scaling to make it fun. Major General, the enemy just gets so many troops and the scaling becomes so aggressive. Like the enemy's troops grow so quickly in between missions that I think it makes it's more challenging, but I actually think it makes it less fun because you really can't. There's less like tactical moves you can make because they just have so many troops that you're just grinding them down constantly. And it's just every battle is just, an hour of grinding each other down and then the battle ends. So I don't like playing Major General. I know there's some mods that modify things in order to change those ratios, but I think, especially if it's your first time playing, just playing Brigadier General, you'll have more fun, and I think you'll still find it pretty challenging. So we're going to be General Butthole, and let us begin. So first mission drops you in. There's an army building component to this, but we're not going to get to it yet. First, we have to take this railroad station. And once we take the railroad station, we have to defend it from a counterattack. Okay. Here's our army. Now I'm going to pause the game for a second, which is space, just to give you a little, I guess, overview. So what you might think you want to do is go up this road and into the town, but the game doesn't have a tutorial, but it's basically trying to tell you that's a bad idea. Obviously there's forests on this side on a hill, there's forests on this side in a ridge. Marching down this road without any idea what's happening is you're gonna die. So we don't want to do that. We have 2 units of skirmishers, which are at this point in the game, everyone has the same kind of weapon. They're basically armed with smoothbore muskets. I think the sharp. I'm sorry, no, the sharp is a rifle, but that's a. I think that sharps is a breech loading. But anyway, so but they don't have significantly longer range than these line infantry. But what they do have is they're faster, they're harder to hit, and they move better through rough terrain. So we're gonna send these guys here, and we're gonna send these skirmishers here. And the goal is going to be to try and push any enemy units back through these woods. You never want to advance in open terrain in this game if there's any forests, hills, anything around that you don't have eyes on, because you're going to die. Now, generals just give a morale bonus. Now, one thing you'll notice, I think one reason that people get frustrated with this game is, especially early on, your units, unlike a normal RTS, maybe the closest thing is like Total War, your units, like responsiveness and speed and all of that, is determined by their quality and their training, which will get better as they fight more. But early on, you know, they'll move really slow, they won't form new formations quickly, and they just are very difficult to command. So we're gonna go here, and we're gonna get engaged with these guys. Now, so for whatever reason, these skirmishes are running here. And I'm going to get into the cover system in a little bit. I don't understand why these skirmishers are doing that, but he's going to shoot. Okay. So we can actually maybe take these guys out. So actually, we're going to do that. We're going to have these skirmishers chase these guys, and these guys are going to continue towards the town, because we got, you know, we got stuff we need to be doing here. So one thing that's different about this compared to most games is retreating is not necessarily as big of a deal. Units will retreat and reform and charge all the time. You know, this is the Civil War, especially green units. They just don't have a lot of cohesion, so they will kind of reform and charge and all of that, and that's not a big deal. But what we want to do here is just chase these guys off the map, or chase them into the corner, because as we advance towards this town up here, any just make sure we stay away from this ridge. Any troops that retreat from here are going to go to this town, and then we got to fight them out of the town, which is annoying. So we're going to just chase these guys off. And skirmishers, They're not as good as cavalry, but they're good at chasing. They're good at chasing units off of terrain features or into forests. Okay. So again, these sort of things happen. We have our reinforcements show up. And the game, again, very rarely tells you that this is going to happen. You just kind of have to know. So we are going to double quick run here because these skirmishers are going to be here. We'll keep my general here for a second. So you can see here, these skirmishers are like in permanent retreat. We're just going to keep shooting them. Actually, I'm going to scoot up a little bit because I want my guys to be in cover. So one thing you can see here, if you look at a unit, you can see what its current cover is. And that's determined by what sort of terrain it's in. So, like as you can see, these guys are in some corn or wheat or something. So you can see that little icon there. But the main thing we want to do here is try and run these guys down with our cavalry before they can get established. Units move faster on roads, and if you give them, oopsies, and if you give them long distance paths, they will form into column, which means they will move faster. You know, they'll form a line. So let's see here. So we want to So yeah, we want to get these guys so these guys are routing. We can run them down with our cavalry. These cavalry are not particularly good in melee, but they're going to be better than these skirmishers who are routing. Now, melee in this game is fairly vague. The biggest thing is if you have more units than the enemy, you will tend to win a melee engagement. And that's not like numbers of guys. That's just like actual units. So if you have 2 units and they have one, you'll normally win, regardless of the amount of troops involved. If they have 2 units, they'll normally win. So we are going to start to surround this town, push these skirmishers back, and move forward with our cavalry. We're going to have these guys. I'll have the cavalry actually stay here. We'll move the skirmishers forward. So we'll keep our supplies safe here. And then we need to get our cannons into positions where we can attack this town. Now you can see here, there's kind of a unit of infantry spread out here. Let's get these guys. Well, maybe we should get these guys, capture these guys as well. So one thing is if you've captured a troop of enemy units, the advantage is you get their guns, which is very useful. And then the other thing is that typically there is a system through the campaign where enemy regiments along with your regiments get stronger. They get better weapons. They get, better commanders. They become veteran. But if you defeat them on the map, they normally will still rout and reform and be in the next mission. But if you capture them, they're normally gone permanently. So, which means you have a big advantage in just killing them. But at this point right now, we need to go in here and take this town. Now, skirmishers are very annoying. It's very difficult. It's very difficult to trade effectively with skirmishers, with line infantry. Now, line infantry can deploy their own skirmishers, which we'll get into, but because of the way skirmishers work, because they have a looser formation, they're difficult to trade effectively with line infantry because, you know, line infantry are packed. They're easier to shoot. Now, so you can see the enemies here all spread in this town, which gives them, you know, impressive levels of fortification. The issue with this strategy for the enemy is they have 517 guys. I have right now 2,000 guys and 2 cannons who can all shoot back, right? So obviously I have a much higher weight of fire here, and they just can't compete spread out in the town. So we're going to go into the town, but we're not going to occupy the town, like garrison it, which I'll show you what that looks like in a second. We are going to just take it as like a fortified area. Okay. Now, what we need to do then is we need to head over here, and we need to get across this bridge. Now, this is very difficult because obviously there's a bridge, there's enemy fortifications there. Okay, these guys are all routed off the map. So I'm not going to go on this side. I'm going to go on this side. Let me pause it real quick. Now, there is a time limit. It's not always clear if the time limit is harsh. Like, sometimes missions will just end at the time limit. Other times they won't. So you don't always really know what's going to happen. So you just want to try and move as quickly as you can. So we need to make sure they don't come back across this river. So I'm going to station 2 regiments here. And then these guys, we're going to go over to here. Now, here's another important I guess thing to know. Let's get all these cannons over here. So obviously, so what I just did there is I detached skirmishers, which means you let light infantry out of your regular regiments so that they can, you know, act in the role of skirmishers. Now, that's one of the reasons why, that's one of the ways you deal with light infantry as skirmishers, as line infantry. You deploy your own skirmishers. But one advantage you can do is that if you engage them with your skirmishers first, who are harder to hit, then you can bring up your own line infantry, and your line infantry will tend to be safer because the skirmishers will be shooting at the line infantry. So we are going to go over here, and we're going to try and push these guys back with cannons and artillery. Now, try not to get too distracted here, but we don't have very good cannons here. These are 6-pounder field howitzers. And these ones are actually okay. These ones are 10-pounder rifles. And rifled cannon, they shoot further. They're more accurate, but they tend to have a slower rate of fire, and they tend to have less effective, what do you call it, grape shot, like shrapnel shells for close-range combat. Howitzers tend to have better close-range shells, but they're less accurate. You can see here the range of these howitzers compared to the cannons. The rifled cannons go all the way out to here. You can see the little line, whereas these howitzers go, you know, like to here. But what the game doesn't tell you is that every cannon has 3 types of ammo they could fire, and that's determined by distance. And the distance every cannon will fire every type of ammo at is different. The best type of ammo for the howitzers to fire is either shrapnel, like grape shot type shells at close range, or explosive shells, which are medium range. Rifled cannons tend to shoot better if they're shooting explosive or solid shot. So the howitzers really have to get close, much closer than you probably want your artillery to be at. But, you know, that's what we're going to have to do. So we need to get more units here into these. Now this is why we left 2 units in this town, because they're gonna try and take it back, and if we don't have anything here, they're going to succeed. Now we can run across this bridge and try and take this town and take this in a charge, but we will not succeed. Their units, especially the Confederate units, especially in the early stages of the campaign, are just flat out better in melee combat typically than the Union units. So you really kind of have to shoot them away. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna use this opportunity to get the cavalry in. Oh, oopsies. Oh no, we won't. We still got these guys here. Okay, well, we'll face these guys off. We might just have to get in there. It might not be a choice. Where's my general? Oh, but we'll get over here. So anyway, these guys are here. I guess we could just try and charge these guys. We might succeed. The only problem with charging, if you're not sure what's around, is enemy units can shoot into melee, and they will shoot at you, or they will shoot at your own guys. Like, you'll engage one unit in close combat, but then the unit behind them will shoot into melee. So anyway, what we got to do is get across this river, and then we need to redirect our cannons over here so we can shoot these guys off of this side of the river. So they have cannons here, so we need to shoot these cannons. And so you can see here, those cannons are we're so close to those cannons, they're shooting grape shot, which is obviously not good for health, and they're gonna do crazy amounts of damage to these line infantry with their next shot. But we don't really want to charge them. That would probably be equally bad, so we're just gonna have to just take it and then shoot them. Hopefully we'll kill enough of them to make them retreat, which they are, which will slow down their loading. Unfortunately, these units are not very green, so they reload very slowly. What I can try and do is here. Yeah. I could try and charge them with these skirmishers. Oh, no, don't charge them. Anyway, okay, I think if a little bit more pressure will be across the bridge here. We can try and take these cannons. And as you can see now, this is very chaotic. Like I said, our units are not gonna always perform like we'd want them to perform, especially early on. It gets better, you know, as time goes on. Our units get more competent, but at the moment they're all over the place. But we're making good progress here. We're knocking down these guys. Uh-oh. No, stay in your little... Okay, we took out those cannons, so that's good. We have control of the town. We have these guys... there's 200 guys coming in here, but... Let's see here. Now, one of the units our units keep running back and forth is because they are skirmishers. They don't want to stay and engage in line combat with the enemy. So they are like running back and forth and all that kind of nonsense. What we're going to do here is we'll put... we need to push these guys back. We need to make sure they don't get back into this town. And then, now that these guys are gone, we need to immediately advance, because once these guys reform, they're going to turn this way and try and push us out of the town. So we need to move forward, especially now that there's no cannons stopping us. So we need to move forward here. So now that we control the town, though, unfortunately, now we have to prepare for a counterattack. One thing you can do is try and delay capturing the town so you whittle down more of their troops. I think we're actually doing pretty good, though. All of our regiments are fairly good strength. But they're going to attack across here, and they're going to have an armored train drive up. Yep, enemies are coming. Armored train. Okay. So, we will have reinforcements eventually coming up this road, but we will need to hold until then. They have given us fortifications, but we actually do not want to use them, because similar to how we saw before, if we use fortifications, we're actually at a pretty big disadvantage, because the which cannons are these? Okay, we'll put the field howitzers. We'll put the field howitzers here. We're at a pretty big disadvantage because, again, we have like a whole wide front here with 603 guys, but they could have 3 regiments come against this fortification, and there's just no way we can defend against that amount of firepower. I think, have they given us full supply? So you can see you have supply here of ammo. Your units will not stop shooting when they run out of supply, but they will shoot slower. So I'm actually going to bring my supply vehicle, my little supply cart over here, because I don't think I'm going to run out of supply. We have a supply depot here. The cannons have full supply. They don't shoot that fast because their veterancy is low. So we'll do that. We'll have 1 regiment here. We'll have 1 regiment here. We'll have 1 regiment here. We'll keep the general here. We'll keep skirmishers there. And then I guess what we can do, what can be useful is, if we take the skirmishers and we... Shouldn't I have a second set of skirmishers? Oh, here we go. If we put the skirmishers in the town, because that way they'll just be around and they'll be adding to the fun, but they won't necessarily have to be oriented in any one particular direction. So I'm going to dismount these cavalry, and I'm going to... I'll put them here, I guess. We'll put these guys here. We've got 2 units of line infantry. We got the cannon. We will probably not be able to hold this town without the reinforcements. So the second the reinforcements get here, everyone's got to book it forward. But yeah, the thing that's actually going to stop the enemy is going to be, you know, we probably need these guys over here. This is not feeling like a particularly secure area here. And maybe we don't even want these skirmishers in the town. Maybe we don't. Yeah, maybe we just want them actively engaged here. But yeah, the enemy is going to come in large force. I don't have any... The eyeball means a scouting location, so if you have a unit there, you can see from the church. But I don't particularly need to see where they're coming from because I'm defending this town. I know I have to defend it. There's only so many areas they could come from. And yes, I could shoot at them out there with the cannons, but these cannon crews are not... They're not veteran. They're not going to be particularly effective at long range. You can see they're shooting all over. So they're gonna charge in here, and as you'll see, my other units can shoot into combat with them. So you take some friendly fire, but it's minimal compared to how much damage you'll do to them. Now they're even despite that, they're doing pretty well because again, the Confederate units are just better in melee. I'm gonna charge a unit of skirmishers in here, just so we have a 2-to-1 advantage. But you can see, even with all this, they're doing fairly well. If I'm lucky, I'll capture them, but I don't think I will. I think they're getting out of here. So anyway, the enemy is just coming in. They're relying on the fact that they are better at. They're just better at melee than my guys, unfortunately. As you can see there, we actually took some pretty heavy casualties. We lost like 100 guys to chase those guys off. We did more damage to them, but it took, you know, it took 3 regiments. Now they're shooting at us with cannons now. My advice, you can see actually here how much cover we have from being in these buildings, from the cover meter. You can see what cover will give you, but in general, just more cover is better. And artillery fire will degrade cover eventually. Oh shoot, I didn't even notice my guys were here. Ah, okay. I got too distracted. So yeah, we want these guys to book it here. We want them to run double quick, which is going to lower their condition, which is going to make them less effective in combat. But the most effective thing for them to be in combat is like in combat. So we want to get them there as quickly as possible. I don't know what the situation is going to look like when I get there. So I'm just going to set up the cannons there, and the supplies we'll just bring over here. I don't think any of these guys are low on supplies because, again, we have the supply point here. So yeah, the cavalry can be annoying. The main problem with the cavalry or skirmishers right now in this sort of defensive situation is that if they engage us in melee, we can't shoot, and then all these line infantry back here can shoot at us through their own troops. So that's the danger. And now, obviously, if we have troops behind them, then those troops can shoot, but they have more stuff than we do right now, so it's rather dangerous. Yeah, no, they're shooting at us with cannons. They've got this train here. The thing is with cannons is See, look, now they're like attacking en masse here. So we have to get... We need to get as much as much firepower here as possible, as quickly as possible, because otherwise we're kind of fucked here. We're kind of screwed here. So get some support here with my general, but obviously, yeah, they're making a very big push here. Unfortunately, I didn't have my guys run here, so they're a little bit tired. But what we're gonna just have to do is just get these guys into the town as quickly as possible to push these guys back, even though now they're going across the freaking bridge here. Yeah, so we're gonna go here. Fortunately, we have 2,000 guys who just arrived. We need to get here too. And we need to use them to push these guys back. Fortunately, we still have this side of the town, so that's good. Things could be worse. Things could definitely be worse. But yeah, so we're gonna get... So I know these guys are tired. They just like ran 3 miles, but yeah, we have to win this engagement here. Okay, and then these guys are gonna be here. These guys will push in. And then we're gonna move into the town. Now, obviously, again, this is very chaotic, and our units right now are just not that good. Our skirmishes are getting mauled here, but it's actually much better strategically at this moment in time for them to be shooting at our skirmishers. And obviously, we still have this armored car here, but there's more important things to be shooting at here. So what kind of guns are these? Let me see here. Smoothbore. Okay, so neither of these guns is actually that that useful in this situation to fight the armored train. We really want more like rifled cannons. But okay, so we're gonna move these guys here. We're gonna move these guys here. We're gonna move these guys here. And then I guess we probably need to take out that train at this point, because it's kind of killing a lot of our guys. So with those reinforcements, we've pushed them back. If you don't get them into the town quickly enough in this mission, it's very unlikely you will be able to hold the town, because they come here with so much stuff that it is very unlikely that you'll be able to hold it, because yeah, they just come at you with so much so quickly. Now, what we can do now, we need to get this armored train to retreat, because otherwise it's going to shoot grape shot up at us. But what we want to do now is come out this way. We want to hook around and then start pushing these guys back here. Okay, now this is very dangerous. We don't want we don't want these skirmishers over here. If friendly units, if units don't have anyone around them and they're routed, like if they only have enemy units around them, then it's very likely they get captured. We don't want a unit to get captured. Okay, so the train's withdrawing. We'll just have these guys like run somewhere. Sad, but okay, so let's... Okay, no more armored train. So that means we can just... That means our artillery can just go wild here. Let's put these guys back on their horses. I don't know. We don't want to. Let's go hide in the forest here. Hopefully they don't see us. Yeah, we don't actually need to destroy the armor train. It doesn't really matter. It's probably better if we just let it leave. So yeah, the enemy's still coming over here. We need to move this up here. Generally speaking, it's better for your artillery to be shooting at larger units than smaller units. There's more guys left to kill. So we're just gonna hide over here. We'll just hide in the forest until the end of the mission, because I think if we come back here, the train, we might get captured by the train. Okay, so let's just keep shooting here. How are the supplies doing? I guess we need to capture the supplies. Okay, the trains are hiding. Okay, so we put these guys back on their horses, so let's go see what's over here. We might want to start advancing in this direction. So yeah, now because again there is a mechanic where the enemy unit scales and they get more powerful over time. That includes the number of casualties you do to them. So you want to you don't want to just be like, okay, they've retreated from the town, let's just let them leave. You want to keep fighting them the entire mission. You want to inflict as many casualties as possible, because any casualties you don't inflict are going to come back to haunt you the next mission. And also your units gain experience, right? So the more your guys fight, the more experience they'll get, which means that in the next mission you'll be more powerful. And as I said previously, the advantage the Union has is in numbers of recruits. So the more you fight, like if you lose troops, it's not a big deal. It's more important for your troops to gain experience than it is for them to survive. So you want to fight as much as you can. So there's an enemy general there. And we can try to kill him. It might not be successful. We could certainly try and maybe run down these cannons. It might not work. At least kill a couple of them. Okay, so they're all retreating now, so we want to follow them, right? We want to keep going here. We want to get as many casualties as we can, especially if we can capture or rout any troops. We want to do it. So we're going to go out here. We're going to bring the cannons as well. Cannons, until you get like later more really powerful cannons, their range is always a lot shorter than you might think, so they always need to be closer than you might think. Okay, those guys routed. So if their unit icon disappears like that, they're routed, which doesn't necessarily no butthole, get over here. Which again doesn't mean they're gone from the campaign, it just means they're gone from this mission. If you want them to be gone, you have to capture them. I think if you shatter them enough time, if you just see a little group of men, they're shattered. They're not gone from the campaign. If you want them to be gone from the campaign, the best way to do it is to capture them. Okay, I guess these guys can come back now. Hopefully the armor train's not still here. So yeah, we are going to come around here. And yeah, the more experience we get, the better. Also, the other thing is if we defeat enemies, we get their guns. And early on in the war, that's very important. Late war, not so much, you know, it doesn't really matter. But early war, it's very important to steal guns from the enemy because there's only so many guns in America. I know. Hard to imagine, but there's not enough guns normally to equip everyone. So, especially rifles. So any of them that you can steal from the enemy are ones that you could use to equip new regiments. Or even then, you could sell them, you know, which is, you know, equally useful. Either way, it gets you what you want. Where am I? Oh, cavalry. Okay. So they have guys in the woods here. So let's see if we can kill their general. No, probably not. That's okay though. I wanna take out these cannons if I can. So yeah, at this point they're just routing. Again, we want to chase them down. And you really have to do this at anything other than the easiest difficulty if you want to have a chance with the scaling, because the enemy, the scaling will happen so aggressively that if you're not using every opportunity to whittle down the resources of the enemy, they're gonna just walk all over you. Especially because your troops are not being trained. And training is not just from killing enemies. It's not like a strict experience. Just like marching around raises their stamina, and just shooting increases their firearm proficiency. So it all helps. It all adds to it. So yeah, we want to have our troops engage in combat as much as possible. Now, I think the only unit they have left at this point is that cavalry. So maybe we can just run it down? I don't know. Let's see here. Oh, they have their general. Yeah, kill him. Guys, come on. It's General MacArthur. If we leave him alive, he's going to be responsible for the Philippines. So when you complete all the objectives, in this case, they've decided we've completed the objective, or when a certain time limit passes, even if you haven't, you can normally end the mission early. And unless you're losing, or you just don't want to, I don't know, unless you're somehow in a very bad situation, you basically never want to end the mission early. You always want to keep going because, again, yeah, you have to get the experience, you have to get the weapons, you have to get the kills on the enemy to attrit their capability here, and you're only going to do that if you just keep pushing. Most battles, you can see there's a timer here. Most battles, if they don't have like a strict time limit, when they say they're going to end, they normally end at like 8 or 9 o'clock, because they end when the sun goes down, because combat in the Civil War at night was very rare. Maybe skirmishing, but in general, you're not going to try and conduct like a giant field battle at night. For either side, so the combat tends to end at night. And you can see here these guys are exhausted because I've been having them run everywhere, and they might have lost their general. Okay, yeah, their leader died. We'll get into leaders in a second. in the after battle stuff, but units have officers, and when a unit takes damage, there is just like sort of a set chance for every guy who dies, the officer of the unit might die instead. And when you get into higher level officers like brigade officers and divisional officers, any time any unit comes under combat, there's a chance that the higher level officers can die. So you're going to be swapping those guys out a lot. And units will still function without officers, but as you can see here, their command and their efficiency, which is basically how well they work in general, how well they respond to orders, and just the general kind of multiplier of their stats, gets worse. Okay, we're just going to charge in here. Get in here. So units, if they're exhausted, sometimes they won't charge. But if you move them close enough to the enemy, like you just kind of move them into the enemy, then they'll kind of charge anyway. Okay. So let's get in there. Just want to see if we can rout these guys. I don't know, just get them. just capture them. Oh my gosh. Come on, guys. Okay, well, they're off the map. So you can see here, because we were outnumbered in, I guess, most things besides guns, but we did 4-1 casualties, which is pretty good. And then let's see who did the best. These guys actually survived okay. The cannons did pretty good. I'm assuming these are the 6-pounders, or the 10-pounder rifles. And then, yeah, these guys took a hit. So, after battle, you get career points, you get reputation, and you get money. We also had some prisoners, so we exchanged them for recruits. Okay, so after the first battle, what do? I think the units you get from the first match are random. I've sometimes show up with different units. But the first thing you should do is look at the next battle. These are major battles. These are minor battles. You want to do all the minor battles and look at it and see how many brigades you're going to need for it. How many regiments. So we're going to need 8. Currently we have 4. And we want the regiments we bring to be as large as possible and have as many guys as possible. Because, again, the more guys you have on the field, marching around, being under fire, shooting at stuff, all of those guys are getting trained. So if you have a regiment of 500 guys versus a regiment of 2,000 guys, and they're doing the same stuff, the 2,000, even regardless of which one is more effective, it's better to have the 2,000 man regiment because that's 2,000 guys getting experience. Now, first thing you should do is save. I didn't mention that. And then currently we can only have 1 corps, 2 divisions, and 3 brigades, which is 6, and we need 8 for the next mission. It looks like we can have 4 regiments in a division, but if we create a new division here and we drag one of these guys down, you'll see we actually only can have 3. So that would be a maximum of 6, so we need to increase our army organization with our experience point and get ability to field 4 unit divisions. Now what to do next? So we probably want to take our best unit, which I guess is Walton here. He has the best firearms. And we want to give them rifled muskets. Now, the only rifled muskets you can get in any quantity at this point in the war is Austrian ones, the Lorenz muskets. And the rifled muskets, they're longer range. And typically that means you don't outrange them. But what that means is that accuracy is dependent on how close you are to your maximum range. So these muskets, effective range 250. Once they get out to 250, they're very inaccurate, and their regular accuracy is 13.5. The muskets, the rifled muskets, they go out to 340. Their accuracy is six times as 5 times as high. But regardless, if they engage a unit of muskets, they'll be further away from their maximum range of 340, while the muskets will be shooting at their absolute maximum range. So the rifles will be, you'll trade it generally 2 to 3 times as efficiently if rifles and muskets are shooting at each other. So you want to get rifled muskets as quickly as possible. So we can only probably afford to equip 1 unit with them right now. Now, when you add troops to a unit, you can either get veteran or rookie troops. If you get rookie troops, it degrades the unit. This is worse for the Union than it is for the Confederacy because their recruits are not as good. So if you add rookie recruits, it degrades the unit much more quickly. We don't really have a choice at this point in the war. We don't have the money. As you can see, if I add 1,000 troops, it's got to buy the muskets too. So that changes it. But this is 30,000 with veteran troops and 12,000 with rookie troops. But what we can do is we can maybe get some veteran troops because we want these guys to be decent. Actually, though, these guys have a bad... We don't really want efficiency. We want endurance, of course. Okay, actually, we'll give the muskets to these guys. The thing is, we've already bought them, so it doesn't actually cost us anything to switch who gets them. As you can see here, we have 412 in the inventory. So we'll get these guys up to 750. And then we'll get them to 1,000 using rookie troops.
Yes, sir.
Now, when you reach each tier of progress, you get a perk, and discipline training I feel is not as good as endurance course because the stamina and the speed are more important than morale. Your units will get good morale anyway as it goes on. Speed's more important. And then I typically like to name a unit based on what kind of gun it has, so you can quickly know what they're capable of when you see them. I typically don't worry about that for the muskets. I'll sometimes even name them like chaff or something, or training, because the whole point of the musket armed troops is to die in the place of the guys with better guns and to gain experience on the battlefield, so that way you raise their average level of skill and then you give them a better gun later. So we're going to give these guys Springfields. These howitzers are horrible, but we're going to give them... we have 3 in the shop, and I don't want to buy more, so we'll just give them those. We will need to buy some more cannons. Now, one thing you should always do after every battle, even though it's kind of annoying, even if you don't want to add a gun to a unit, you should always click this up, because each gun crew consists of a certain number of guys, and you can lose a couple of guys from the unit and not lose a gun. And if you can see here, if I hit this button, it adds 10 guys, but it doesn't add another gun. And that's because it's just refilling the crew. We do want to add some guns, though. How much would it cost to make these guys veteran? Too much. Okay, so we're going to add some guns to here. For that. And then, okay, now we have 2,000 more guys. So we could just get 2,000 man regiments, but we probably want to start training some skirmishers. And regular skirmishers with these Sharps carbines aren't that good, but eventually we'll have access to Sharps rifles, which significantly outrange muskets, so they can shoot without being shot back. And then we have eventually we'll get the sniper rifles, which are so long range that typically the skirmishers can shoot without breaking concealment. And if the enemy comes at them, they can just run away. Like it's very difficult for the enemy to catch sniper skirmishers, so they end up doing a lot of damage throughout the battle. And they're really good at killing artillery as well, and generals. So, but again, the thing is you don't want to create a new unit that's green and then give it an expensive gun, because they're just going to lose it. They're going to die and they're going to drop them, or they're not going to use them effectively. So you want to train them on cheaper guns. And then give them the good guns later. So here we're going to create a new unit. It's cheap because all we have to do is buy a captain and 285 guys. We already have the guns. I guess we could just pop it up to 300. You do lose efficiency at a certain point if you make a unit size too large. Every type of unit has its own thing. I think because when you add guys to a unit, it decreases the efficiency of the unit, and after a certain point, the decreased efficiency becomes higher than the amount of combat effectiveness you get by adding more guys to the unit. For infantry, it caps out around 1750. We can't go that high right now because we don't have enough army organization, but past that, you kind of lose effectiveness. I typically go past that anyway, because that way the unit can take more casualties before losing effectiveness. And also, again, you're training more guys at once, which means that the unit is cheaper to reinforce. You're basically raising the general competency of the army if you have large units. So, but again, we can't go that high right now. So let's create one more infantry brigade with muskets. And then we want to create one more. Now, we don't have that many soldiers. We could buy the muskets, so we can create one of like 738, which is probably what we want to do here. We could buy the muskets, but if we look here at this, we have these political points which we get for winning battles. And if you have enough of these, they give you a morale bonus, but they're typically, you want to be at least spending some of them. Now, sometimes you can use them to buy stuff that you can't otherwise get. Like sometimes there's specific guns that you can get early through political favors. If you spend too many points, you lose morale. But the other thing you can use them for is buying things you already have access to, but for free, right? You don't have to spend the money. You just have to spend the political points. But when you do that, you want to make sure you're getting a good deal. So these 10-pounder ordnance rifles, which would be useful, right? We could switch out the howitzers with them. If we look in the armory for artillery, these 10-pounder ordnance rifles are only $1,600. And so 6 of those is what? Like 12,000, something like that, $10,000. So it's not worth it, basically, compared to if we get palmetto rifles, which are just a slightly upgraded version of the not palmetto rifles, palmetto muskets, which are a slightly upgraded version of the Springfield. These are $13 each, so 1,000 palmetto muskets is $13,000, and then 2,000 is $26,000. So that's like more than double the effectiveness of using your money there. So we're gonna do that. We're gonna buy. We're gonna use political favors to get 2,000 of these muskets, and then that's what we're gonna give the. We'll actually give. Because they're slightly better than the Springfields. If you see, they're slightly better in melee. Other than that, there's not really any difference. But we'll give our better troops those. And then, well, I guess we'll just give everybody those. And then we'll use our Springfield rifles that are freed up to create one last regiment of 738 guys. Again, just so they're out there gaining experience. Now, we don't have enough to fully flesh this out. What we could have done is created smaller units, but I think that's a mistake. You can win the next battle with these units here pretty easily. Well, you know, you could do it, right? And then you can expand these units, because again, the next battle, if we look at the major battle, we're gonna need 10 units, and then so we're gonna need to form 2 new brigades after that battle. And we're also going to want to increase the size of these as much as possible, and possibly even get another unit of rifles. So all that's to say that it's better to have solid units that you can count on and they're going to gain experience, rather than fill every slot with like a bunch of 200 rank skirmishers. But early on, though, the main thing is you want to use every guy. Okay. Well, that was a bit rambling. Hopefully that was interesting to people. I really like this game. I like all of the guns and the logistics, and even though the battle system's kind of fiddly, I think it's fun. I think I'll probably do another video in a little bit showing a late game battle with essentially fully veteran units, all of the equipment and stuff, and show you how it's different. How the units are much more responsive. You have more tactical options because you have better stuff. You have long range artillery, you have sniper rifles, you have better cavalry, all that kind of stuff. You have infantry that'll listen to you, things like that. But anyway, I hope if anyone was struggling, you found this useful, and have a nice day.